Hey everyone, hope you are having an amazing day. Today is Saturday, September 12th. If you are new to the channel, please hit subscribe and like the video if you enjoy the content. Let's start with the news. So on Thursday and Friday, we got coverage of the failed vote on the skinny bill. Just to recap, the skinny bill failed, and it was a streamlined 78-page skinny bill. And it was basically already shrunk down to a streamlined bill that was about 500 billion in total notional stimulus. 52 people voted yay, 47 voted nay. We needed 60 votes to pass the bill, so it worked out to about 87%. All Democrats voted against the bill, and only Ron Paul voted for the bill as a Republican. McConnell said afterwards, which was interesting, that he thought that there was a 50-50 chance that the Republicans could maintain control of the Senate after the election. So even he is having a bit of uncertainty of what will bring in the election. So previously to this, McConnell wanted at least 50 votes. So it wasn't too bad of a defeat. The Republicans can say that they voted on the bill and did their job when they have to answer to the constituents that they represent. So this brings a lot of questions. The House, they don't have a lot of time before the election because there's going to be some period where they're not actually there. So it limits the time when they actually have to vote for a future bill that gets passed from the Senate to the House. So what happens now? Republicans have to go back and see what can be done among themselves to get to 60 votes and pass a bill and possibly limit some concessions between the parties. So I think this sets up for an interesting October and November for the election. Trump may need to do an executive order before the election, and I think he'll have to do one in mid or end of September or mid-October to try to push through a stimulus that would actually hand physical checks again to people who really need it. And I think this would set up well before his November 3rd election. So let's see what happens. So the stimulus right now is deadlocked, and each party thinks they have taken, they've done the necessary voting, so they can go back to their constituents and just say that, they did what they could and just blame it on the other side for blocking the funding. And ultimately, it's going to be the people on Main Street who suffer. Both sides are basically using it for their own advantage, and the election is 2 months away. So I thought also Mr. Fauci had an interesting remark just about the overall situation with COVID in the economy. He was quoted as saying, if you're talking about getting back to a degree of normality, which resembles where we were pre-COVID, he said it's going to be well into 2021 before we even get to some resemblance of normality. I think this indicates that he doesn't foresee a vaccine or even a therapeutic being ready until late next year. So the timeline of this pandemic is being stretched quite significantly and I see these quotes by a few major medical people. So I think it's going to surprise people that we're going to be into this. This is going to kind of be the new normal for another year or two. And with the schools reopening right now, you see an uptick in infection rates. And there's been a lot of stories about American universities being hotbeds right now for a lot of the infections. And it's just kind of skyrocketing right now. So I just wanted to go over some interesting articles just regarding, how the stimulus is going to affect us overall. There was a good article in Wall Street Journal yesterday. I just linked it, how they were studying about what happened in the current UK economy. But you can see that the GDP change, which is a good measure of how the economy is performing, it's kind of like a lagging indicator. They're having a slowdown in their month-over-month GDP numbers. And a few analysts in the article was quoted as saying, in terms of the economy, as long as the major economies do not need to get into generalized lockdown, the economy should continue to mend. But it can't sustain the spectacular V-shaped recovery that the businesses experienced a few months ago. So the kind of hard part starts now because we're trying to balance the infection rates, but also keep the economy going. And a lot of people don't expect the UK economy to return until, as I mentioned before, to return to its pre-pandemic activity until 2022. So that's even a year later than, maybe even what Fauci said in terms of like health being the same. This article was interesting too, where it mentioned that federal spending tops 6 trillion for the first time, and the deficit topped 3 trillion for the first time. So if you can look at it, like the deficit is the yearly spending, and the you can see the uptick in spending year over year. And this 2020 is really significant. Of course, in a major recession, the last time, like the financial crisis, you're gonna have to spend money on relief efforts just to help those who really need it. But you can see the effects of the coronavirus has been really, this is unparalleled, the amount of spending that we need to do to support the economy. And you can see the uptick in 09. What is this? Maybe a 20% increase. This is much bigger. You're talking about a 30-40 increase in spending. Let's go over the COVID numbers quickly. So worldwide, the data in September 8th seems to be stale. So there's nothing in terms of the daily change, but you can see there's an uptick in total cases, about 300K worldwide. The recovered is basically increased about 200K. Infection rates look kind of similar, but it definitely looks like an uptick. You see India's increased by 1,000, Brazil's increased by 3,000. Looks like US kind of steady. They don't have the number here, but it's probably around 36,000. United States, there was stale data. It just had from September the 10th, so we can't really tell. But cases upticked as a whole from 37 to 47 day over day. And you see increases in the big three, California, Texas, Florida, all increased by 1,000, 2,000. There was a huge increase in Texas, almost double. So that's it for today. Please enjoy your Saturday.